welcome to the Empty Chair, Keeping the Mind in Mind. My name is Previn Carrian. I set up this channel after an interview on misogyny, and I'd like to thank all of you who responded so overwhelmingly with requests for more follow-up videos and educational videos. And I do apologize for the long delay. I got pulled away on two big projects, but here I am. So essentially, I'm just a heterosexual male speaking to other heterosexual males. And my basic idea is that there has been a failure in feminism. My claim is that only men can psychologically understand men. And this is because women cannot inhabit the body of the man. They can't inhabit the chemistry of a man. So the misogyny interview was a psychological confrontation by a heterosexual man to other heterosexual men. And I was trying to get us to look at something in our brains and in our minds. So what was that something? Now, the basic idea was that the male psyche is constructed around an inferiority complex. So this is a psychological idea of inferiority. And the idea is that this psychological inferiority generates male violence and destructive male aggression, with a particular focus on women who are physically and socially made to be weaker than men. So the element of weakness is crucial when we think about what is the psychology of inferiority in the male psyche. Now, at this point, men obviously get very triggered because they like to think of themselves as superior, and that is precisely the evidence that the opposite is actually taking place psychologically. Now, the linked topics to the violence of the male brain and the male psyche for me are racism and fascism. And as we go into the end of November 24, starting 2025, the themes of racism and fascism seem to be extremely relevant and connected to misogyny as I try to launch this channel. So it's not about blame. It's not about attacking men. It's about having the strength of mind to conduct an investigation of a problem. So what do you do when you investigate a problem? You isolate it. What do you do next? You analyze it with tools, psychological tools. Now, this doesn't mean that this analysis in the toolkit can't be applied to others, such as women, but my focus and my interest is the psychological accountability of men to each other. So I'm essentially calling for a male shift in the collective male psyche. I'm calling for men to stop blaming women, mothers, lovers, girlfriends, wives, and everybody else for their emotional well-being and their mental strength. And I'm calling for men to find a masculinity purely in terms of the male psyche alone. So the question here is, can there be a masculinity without women, sex, and aggression? So what's new here? What am I trying that's different? I'm attempting a psychological analysis of masculinity and forms of masculinity. So that's psychological forms of masculinity. And I'm looking to learn about the male mind using psychoanalytic models from my clinical practice. And the models will be expanded in a whole section on the website called psychosocial modeling. I also look at how the problem of psychology does obviously intersect and interact with other disciplines. So we're going to have to talk about evolutionary psychology, sociology, political systems, culture, educational theories, and even legal theory and how the law is constructed. And I'll also talk about the common objections to talking at all about psychology. Is it scientific? Is it evidential? How does it compare to other sciences? And is Freud really a fraud? So those objections, which are very common and easy to think through, will be done in the psychosocial modeling section. I am also multimodal, so the channel will be combining Freud, Jung, Melanie Klein, Donald Winnicott, attachment theory, and family systems theory as well. So that's the general technical approach that I will be pursuing in this channel. A little bit about me. I'm a multimodal psychotherapist. I've been practicing for 22 years. I have, prior to that, been a change management consultant and now a business coach for corporate and small to medium enterprise business sectors. However, my main interest and where I'm transitioning all my work to is as an academic researcher with a particular interest in Jung and the psychology of democracy, as well as Immanuel Kant and his philosophy, specifically concerning critique. I've edited a book on gender sexual diversity with 15 authors from Russia, UK, India, and America and Canada. And most importantly, I am not a feminist. I really have not read the literature on feminism. I'm not fully aware and engaged with the second, third wave feminist theories. And my main claim is that feminism has failed, singularly failed, to address the problem of male violence because only men can do that. So feminism only interests me to the extent that it shows me the problem of where we need to start with male violence. And that means men have to start with men. So what are the overall goals in this channel? Now, the overall concept is educational resource and providing an educational resource for men who want to think about the problem of male violence. But what does education mean here? Okay, it's not a school curriculum. It's not me lecturing you and telling you what to think. That is not how psychotherapy works at all. The idea behind psychotherapy is to open up thinking and learning, which means to think about things you have never thought about before. But not things about space and time and the cosmos or matter, but to think about yourself. So to think about things you never thought about yourself. So in psychoanalysis, learning is about turning your mind to look at itself. I will try to respond to questions and comments based on your concerns on the pages below, as well as a comment section on the website. And since I'll be interacting with a lot of other disciplines where I'm not an expert, rather than just trashing or trolling what I say, could I invite you to educate and inform the rest of us and give us literature to read and other avenues to explore and think about? So this is the concept of learning environment and education in psychotherapy. It's about all of us learning together about the male mind. And obviously, if the channel takes off, I'll be able to interview those very high profile people who need at least 50,000 views per video before they will entertain even talking to you. Now, the basic channel divisions are on the violence of the male psyche and the forms that it manifests. There are 4 main playlist menu divisions on the website. I'll just walk you through them quickly. Psychosocial models is the educational analysis of clinical models. For those of you who are geeky and want to know more information, I will be putting the common objections to what I'm saying in the psychosocial models channel. So if you want to understand why is he saying that, or how can he prove that, or what's the proof of that, or how do you validate or justify that argument, those kind of discussions and debates will be going on in psychosocial models. Then there will be obviously a channel on misogyny, which is of particular relevance in our age. And here I'm looking at the relational violence of the male psyche and something about the male mind. that struggles to relate not just to women, but also to each other, given the capacity and scale of destruction that we, like no other animal on the planet, can execute. So the idea is relational violence, the inability to tolerate others, the need to destroy or annihilate and kill others. What is that? If we open it out too much, it becomes very unfocused. So I'm looking at that violence as directed to women in misogyny. My idea in racism is to look at the group violence of the male psyche and what happens to men when they form groups and why they have a need to attack and persecute other groups. And finally, fascism is the use of the male psyche and the male mind where state and governmental institutional violence is acted out on mass populations. Why does the male brain have a psychological need to use and set up institutions in a way that violates, humiliates, and destroys other people if it has to for the protection of a few? And of course, there'll be an interview section where I hope to be able to talk to experts in related areas who will have much greater knowledge than me. Now, all of this is to create a psychological analysis of the male psyche in what Carl Jung called its shadow side. This is the dark side of the male psyche and its capacity and its compulsion and its real relish for destruction and death, which can also be called a relish for evil. Now, quick trigger warning, please reflect and notice any emotional overwhelm that occurs in you while you're watching the videos. And if that happens, please stop and step back from the video. Allow time to process what is going on inside you. And it's really important that you do that and take the time to do that. As a result of that, please moderate your comments accordingly and respect others because this is very sensitive material that I will be talking about regarding stuff that men just don't like to admit. So if men are actually commenting and trying to break open, and even if they're trolling, please be sensitive to them because engaging with them in an disrespectful or an antagonistic way does not help the educational process. Finally, I would like to dedicate this channel to my father, who passed away on the 10th of December 2022. And of the many things that he taught me and blessed me with, the most important lesson was this: respect life. Respect the life that is in you and the life that is in other humans. Now, this channel is not going to be a very algorithm-friendly channel. There's going to be a lot of hate speech reporting. There's going to be a lot of misandry, misrepresentation of my work. And it would be helpful if you could like, share, subscribe, and also donate to fund the ongoing production of videos, as well as the research that I need to do in order to put the material together from many, many different sources. So your support would be really appreciated, and let's get this project going. Thanks for watching.